Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Let's start to play some games. Send me challenges and play with me if you want. And let's start. A4 best by test and then we will see. Most common answer for A4, that's C5. And we can respond with 11 gambit and so much variation that I can play with white. That's in the opening white has some advantage, C5 is a move that almost all players playing because that's very tricky. They are trying to go C4 and kick your bishop, and how we know A4 will be hang. If it takes, can't be problem, but let's overprotect this pawn. And F3 isn't free for bring my knight, but anyway. Let's pin this because somehow if I take the knight and A4 wouldn't be in a very good place there, because even with a bishop go there, he will tag on their three pieces, which I don't like. But anyway, I would like to attack on his king side, and probably in the future I can even castle long if he's not bring so much attacker on there. What if pawn move or not? Is this right idea? I think that's kicking the knight, but not sure. Let's see if he goes back. I believe I don't need to take. H4 can be moved. If he takes, just I will take with a rook and H5 will be open. And if I take, he will take with the knight, pawn will be hang. If after this trade he takes with a pawn, the knight will be hang. A4 is defended. If I know that if I go C4 and he will take, somehow if I can bring my rook on, my queen on A4, that should be really bad for him. Okay, king G7, because if I take, he can take with the knight easily, and the difference will be that H6 will be defended. What if F4? Try to overpressure this pawn, and somehow he can't just not to take this pawn with a knight. Okay, I will force him to take with a pawn, and then knight from H7 will be hang. Okay, I forced him to take. If I take with a bishop, he has to move the queen. And what should I play after that? But what if the rook takes? Rook takes because now I have queen h5 and h6 will be hang. So let's play. I don't think I need to take the bishop. h6 is unprotected because when I saw that when I'm taking with the rook on h4, h7 is just unprotectable, I will take and the knight is under attack. 99% that's gonna work. Հա, բարի օր ախպեր ջան։ Հա, լավ ես արել միացել ես ախպեր։ Եթե ուզում ես challenge ուղարկի ու խաղանք։ Well, let's play d4 this time. I can even try to play Catalan game, just g3 and sacrifice this pawn on c4, because if he takes, my bishop will be great job in this diagonal. Let's see if it's gonna work or not. He's not taking because he knows that diagonal will be unprotected from him. Even we can trade the bishop for his knight. Because when bishop g2, just you are trying to pressure there more. Is he blunder something or not? Okay, I'm gonna take this pawn and win that, okay? I'm very happy to see this diagonal is going to be open. I believe that bishop b7 could be worked, because if I take this pawn, my bishop would be hang and then the rook. Okay, he's missing the rook or not. What is he playing? Okay, he can take, but what can he do after this? Knight f3 and even take can be moved, because we are up a rook there, just I don't know how he missed that so badly. I can even offer queen trade. That time I should be great. a3, just my rook will be hang, okay. Let's take, if pawn take. Knight a4 or d5. But a4 or a4 or f3, just my bishop couldn't go back. So I didn't do that. Bardzo, but it's awesome. I would like to go a3, but because my rook will be hang. Okay, the knight is not hanging. I'm trying to play a3, that just couldn't happen, you know? Because my rook was under attack, if a3 just... I don't need to play. I'm not sure, because d3, these squares will be over defended. And because he has so much pieces that can protect d3 opponent, that should be a little bit hard for me to take that. That's the difference. And he's trying to pressure there more. That's why I don't like to just go a3. d3 will be completely him square. Let's try to play this aggressive move. Just if knight move. Okay, c6 won't work. g6 and bishop c6. I will take exchange from here. I will be up so much material. He knows that he is defending c6 square first. Because if I move the knight, he will move his just from c6 won't be anything. Very great move that he saw. What if we take? Can I sacrifice the knight? I sacrifice the knight, he has to take because his queen is under attack. If he takes, I will take the knight. My pawn on e2 will be undefended. I don't like to do that. And I don't need even to take this pawn. Because at this time just, you know, my pawn structure would be very bad. How can I play? Just... I believe there is not move I can play. Because if bishop take, queen d3, okay? Բան չէ Արմեն ջան, սովորական էլի, քեզանից ասա, մրցումների ես մասնակցում. Let's go b3, okay, I would try to play even queen d3 and bishop e4, but how you see that won't happen. a3 just pawn d3, and he will try to make some bad position for me, you know, because d3 will be overprotected. I would like to rook d2 and I'm gonna take this pawn. Now that's not guarded because just I sacrificed this pawn on a5. That's why he can't just move his rook back and defend like this. These white squares are defended from my bishop. I'm gonna take this and then probably try to backrack checkmate. And if it's not just from my rank, that should be really tricky. Rook d8, okay? Let's calculate this. If I take, I can check easily. If bishop back, just rook from e2 will be undefended. 4 and bring this bishop on that diagonal, you know? But because my pawns will be isolated on here, I'm not sure about that. Probably I need to bring the rook on that open g file and attack on his pawn. Ah, okay, he's sacrificing because after this take my bishop will be hanged. Can I take d3 and after he will take, his knight will be hanged and will be equal, as we are speaking about pawns. No, I'm not cheating. Just we can analyze this game after this if you want, but no. Okay, that was hang. Just if I cheat this game, I will win him in 10 moves. Let's bring the king into the center and probably c5. Okay, that should be under attack. And not sure, let's take and his pawns are isolated. Check and rook on second rank. Okay, I'm going to take this pawn and c2 will be hang. Thank you, bro, for understanding. How much is your elo? Okay, let's take. I would like to bring my rook on a1 and make a queen there. Just because you know that can't happen. My pawn will be lost. I'm trying to bring my king there, but I'm afraid his pawn will be so fast I can't reach it, okay? Let's defend with a rook anyway. I believe that should be draw. Because his king is so far from that pawn on c5, I think he's gonna take a7. Okay, that's drawn position. See, we will reach that. No problem, king a7, king a2 and just push this, okay? That's why you need to centralize your king and attack on opponent pieces. Now I will say my pawn was undefended. He's trying to trick me on time, but you know my time isn't that low and I have 2 seconds in every move. If I bring my king on c1, that should be, you know, on c1. I will have, he would have tempo and bring his king forward to take the pawn. But because king a1, king a2, just rook c7, he has to defend that pawn from queening. Okay, very well played. I played really good that game. But I can't say it about me. That's the problem. Let's wait him and play. Let's play Varna Gambit, that's my favorite opening. f4, okay? That's a really tricky, let's see can he get out from this or not. And a very bad opening. What is he playing? He's just sacrificing central pawn, and when we are speaking about central pawn, you don't need to sacrifice that, okay? Just even when you are playing Queen's Gambit or something else, you are sacrificing c4 pawn. I even try to sacrifice a pawn when I said about Varna Gambit. But it's also sacrificing f4. And idea if he takes, d4 will be undefended. See, just try to have that position in your mind. That's when you try to do that, your chess skills will be on another level. Well, let's take and then f4, d4. d4 is protected. I would like to grow c3 and then this, okay? If it takes, okay, I'm not sure. Let's bring bishop on c3. Try to do that. They still close this diagonal, but anyway, I hope he would play that because g8 is protected, he couldn't just and take, but because his bishop will be centralized and attack on my king side, okay? That's why I afraid a little bit about that. Let's not take to not lose a move because I will help him, his knight to centralize that. Just if I take, his knight will be on a5 and really good diagonal which will hit f3. And besides that, now we are having this very nice rook and we need to bring the rook on c1 and then c3 if we just take and lose tempo. I don't like to take, because if I take, my pawns will be still double. Let's wait until he will take and we will respawn. Okay, not take this. Not take, my bishop will take that. If I take, he will take, oh no, he will take this pawn. And that time I will check and take this pawn on a4. Because if he takes f3 just, I have check and my rook c7 and so on. His position will be crushed. I think that's even happening now. I'm not up even a pawn, but my position is pretty good. f3 to defend this pawn and then probably bishop h3 or b5. b5 I will hit this pawn. Hit this knight and then the pawn, you know, but rook d6 and rook a6, I believe that will be really good protected, this knight, so you need to attack on his weaknesses, not just most defended pieces or squares. f3 is hanging, he thought that I need to think about that, and that's why he played so fast that move and plundered the knight. So because I have extra bishop, I would like to go my rook on b2. What is he doing? Okay, I haven't any words. What opening should I play now? Offer me some opening, I will play that. I am playing so much openings in this game, like Scandinavian, Sicilian and so on. c6 or not, just Scandinavian defense main line, I think, not Scandinavian, French. 97 isn't, just can't be mistake, you know? That's why you don't need to worry about this bishop on c8, because somehow b6 and bishop 3 on that b7, you may think that from d5 will be closed, but b6 and c5. To open this pawn, I try to take and then d4 will be free, so you can jump there and make some advantage. I would like to go knight a4 and see my pawn on a4 and then a5 can work there, just to have really good pawn structure. But because he's defending a4 very well, and also if bishop back, his rook will be great job on that side of the board. Now a knight a4 will work. His knight is doing great job, but if he tries to bring it forward, just f6 will kick the knight, and we don't need to worry about that. This is hang, but if I take, just a4 will be hang, and the only thing that I'm happy to see, he has to take with a knight to not plunder the knight. The queen will use to be defend the knight, okay? But if he takes with the knight, I would try to bring my bishop on another way and rook a8, even rook a8, and try to open attack like this. My rook on f8 probably somehow can protect this pawn when I decide to bring it forward, but because my rook on a8 that used to be there isn't do anything, that's why I brought that one. And that's time to do this open attack. That should be really tricky. See that position? I'm seeing that in my mind. Queen b6, I will attack on pawn on b2. He needs to protect, just let's see where he will move his queen. And even the knight would be under attack because that should be defended, you know. That should be open check if he takes. But because he's defending the queen, let's take, and his pawn structure is destroyed. And I don't need to take this knight because he can create pawn chain there. If I take, a file will be completely from his side, sorry. And let's force him to take, because if it's not just rook a8, and if he even take at the time, just my rook will be reach upon that e file, and also that's 5th rank. So let's do this. That's why I say that I'm forcing this. And probably he missed, because you need to some experience to see that move will come. Okay, the knight is defending very well. I think we need to just bring that forward, and I would like to bring my rook on open file. The file is closed from his rook, but rook a8, just I'm not sure. His knight is closing. That's why even this position can't be bad for my king, you know. There are so much pieces. I would even try to f5 to kick the knight from here, but that seems his knight just don't want to be on that square. b6, take this pawn, rook a8, take another one, take, a2 will be hang. I believe b2 will be undefended just before c3, and I will be down a pawn there, but somehow I can't do anything to defend all the pawns, or I can. Just the only way, rook b8. But I don't like that move for my rook, because he can try to do anything there and attack on some other side. Okay, that should be inaccuracy, but I'm not sure. That's the only way that I'm not losing a pawn. Even I could try to that trade and bring my pawn, bring my rook on that pawns, okay? If it takes, I can finally bring my rook on d8, because he should move his knight. And I will use this as advantage to bring, for example, d1 or c2 or d2, and this pawn is gonna hang. If we take this pawn on b7 and protect b2, just bishop h4, another one will be under attack. If I take, I will take a pawn from king side and lose from queen side. That should be trade, but I don't like that. How I said bishop h4, and what if rook d2? f2 will be hang, the knight needs to move, okay? He can somehow defend, just how he did, push that forward. And another piece was hang at the time. Now f7 is hang, but I would be only happy if he don't take this queenside pawns and work on this king side, because queenside pawns are really good danger for my king, because my king just can't go that closer. He can also, for example, take this pawn and cut this side. That should be really hard for me to get some advantage, because that's very far from the king, and king is doing great job on endgames like that. I would go f6 and f7 front be hang. I will also kick the knight from e5 really good square. That seems he's doing mistake or not, just because that should be open check. I don't believe he blundered that, but he can defend that, you know. Knight g4, I has to move this. Can I trick and bring his rook on that dark square and take? f5 and probably bring my king into the center. That's really good when you are trying to bring that. Okay, he's missing the knight. On the end games, you need to bring your king in the middle, because there is just no danger from that, and just 2 moves he did mistake on that 36 moves. But he played very correct moves, you know. Just in the end he blundered. Let's play English opening this time. Is there an English opening's favorite or not? Who loves this gambit? Just I know 2 types of people love this gambit and hate this gambit. Not just normal. No one says that's normal. Okay, my pawns will be double, but when you have double pawns on your center, don't think about that so much, because on the center you can't trade that easily. But anyway, let's just defend and we will see. Because bishop isn't that, you know, bishop f4, I believe most of players doing knight h5 to kick this bishop. Hello, I see bear. How are you? I think that's time to force him to take. Hello, Knowledge. How's your day going? Well, and I finally sacrificed that pawn which I tried to do, because this anyway will be hang, but I'm happy to see this a4 square isn't defended. Yes, you may think that that's defended, but that's not about the pawn, you know? I can move it forward and see, just I would control so much squares. Thank you. Thank you all, I am good too. a4 and a6 can be moved, we will trade, and probably he will take with a bishop, because somehow his queen needs to defend some central squares, for example d5 and so on. If anyone wants to play, send me challenges. But I'm not sure I need to take or not, because probably if he checks from a1, bishop d1 or queen d1, because I opened that position and I have really good center and a4 can be even played, I would like to keep my queen into the game. Okay, he checked, but that's not any danger for me, you know. Okay, I see bear, find me on chess.com, that's my username in below, and send me challenge after this game, okay? And my bishop is doing great job to defend this f3, because, for example, queen back on a8, just that diagonal should be really dangerous for me. Can I double my pawns, because just, you know, f4, and that should be really a great job even. Just, you know, not bad. Okay, Knowledge, after I will finish with IC Bear, I promised him first, okay? I will play next one with you. Is it okay? Let's bring the knight on g5. If he tries to kick, just a5 can be moved. He can't just move his knight after that, because from h7 I believe that won't be made, but his kingside pawns will be gone. Try to think in your mind about that position, and let's continue. Probably he saw that. Just a5 anyway, I will play that. I didn't play a5 because from d5 will be really bad square for me, you know? Okay, I will be happy to play with you too. Stay here and... okay. I have this check. Check here, takes, sack the knight. And wait. Takes and then the bishop. King's move a8, g8. Okay, let's sacrifice the knight. Because we will take with a bishop, and that should be in a really good place. My queen was under attack, I saw that. But if he takes the knight, that should be figure trade for 3 pawns and 3 pawns, which is defending the king. I would like to have that. Even if somehow I take on e6, because I mean just king will run there. Okay, how I thought. Just bishop here and... okay, I thought he would go back. That should be really good move. He will sacrifice this pawn on a6, but his king will be not in danger at the time. He misses that a6 is hang anyway, and if I'm bringing the bishop, that should be losing for him. You know why? Because I'm bringing all my pieces, and because his king will, if would run on that queen side, that so much pieces will protect it. But now the rook and the bishop and the queen isn't doing anything to protect his king, and that's in a really in danger, you know? When you say I do this, how the arrows come onto the screen. You need to change your settings about that. I don't remember how I did that, but anyway, you can change it from settings. Okay, let's calculate queen a8 check, because if I take, just king b8. Queen a8 check, he will play only knight d8, that should be only move, and I'm gonna take this pawn. King b8 also only move, he will lose the knight, and then another knight. Also I can just take the knight and finish this, but anyway, let's do that pre-moves. Probably knight back to c8 could be played. That should save the knight or not? I'm not sure, but okay. Our position is winning. This rook is protecting from first rank, so let's keep it. This pawn is just forcing me to sacrifice or just push forward. If I somehow miss that, I will even push that pawn forward, because this diagonal is open for my bishop. I would like to check from a1, but because that's defended, probably I need to take this and try to mate from b6. Okay, a1 is still defended. I tried to force him to go back, and that's really nice. Queen b6 won't work, king just can't move, bishop c6, I will take the bishop, and that should be mate in 2. Okay, send me challenges. Still, I haven't any challenge. So let's be sure here. You are sending, and let's play. Well, we have this challenge. Rating really doesn't matter for me, but when that's some viewers sending unrated challenges, I have really much respect for them. Knight f6. I would like to trade this. Okay, just my bishop will be activate in with tempo. That's I'm not thinking about that. Okay, bishop a7 because rook a1 check. I would have to go my bishop on e6, but that should be mistake. I will lose this pawn on f7. Knight g5, that should be hang, and I haven't much pieces to defend there. Okay, that's also a really tricky position. You need to be on that position 10 or 12 times to finally not blunder that, because that's not easy to calculate. c4 I can move that bishop back, but because that's not doing on queenside anything, just I don't need to do that, because c4 and a5 will c5 and a5 will be really good defended for him. Hi Geeky Gamer, how are you? Հա, ապրես ախպերս, կաշխատեմ շատ հետաքրքիր պարտիաներ խաղամ, մի քիչ էլ բրիանտներով. I would like to bring my knight on a4, get some trade, but that won't happen. I brought my bishop on a7 because my king was on a8, and if bishop d6, that's just would be check, okay? That's why I'm moving my bishop 2 times in this opening. We are still in opening. Just you need to do that as defensive, okay? Thank you, Geeky Gamer. Thank you for that. You mean about bullet or blitz? 3+0 or 3+2 will be so good, because rapid is a very much, about time. And bullet, my computer starts a little bit lagging, because just I don't know, my computer haven't settings that will play bullet and not hang. Just I don't know why, but that's making some trouble. If just you send blitz, I will be okay. Very well, Geeky Gamer, send me challenge after this game, okay? Չէ, ախպերս, մուծումներ չկա մեր կողմից, պրոստը խաղում ենք. Yes, I will be happy if we play blitz. Bishop is under attack, even I can take the rook, because he has to take with a queen. If he takes with a rook, just I won't do that. Because I will help him to get this a file. And I don't need to help him. Now his bishop is under attack, because my knight on c6 isn't doing anything, just okay, some pressure, but his bishop was great at this point. I would like to deactivate that. Okay, not take with a queen. But I think that's typical below 1,000 rated player's mistake, and he saw that he is now immediate player. Let's sacrifice the rook or not, because if he takes with a queen I will fork, and that should be equal position. But I'm not sure. Because my rook is doing great job on the diagonal and his rook is still doing nothing, I would like to protect it. His king side isn't that much defended. I would like to attack on there, but anyway, let's attack on the center. I'm streaming with OBS. Streaming with computer, and OBS is a really great about it. Probably knight back and pressure d4, because d4 pawn is isolated. That won't be so hard to attack there and try to take something from here. Just his knight can jump and protect it very well. My bishop are controlling very much squares, but because that isn't doing anything great, for example, on center on that squares, I would like to trade, and his pawn will be weak because he can also bring his queen another way and knight b3 and defend one more time. Very well, Nali chess. Well, send me challenge. We will play. Լավուշկաներին հենց չինենց պարտադիրա ուղղակի ոնց որ ես սովորում եմ հավեսի հիմար ավելի շատ վաղ այդ հավեսն էլ չունեմ սենց ասեմ ուղղակի փորձի շախմատը հասկանաս Knight d3 just if he takes I can take with a bishop this a6 will be hang if that wasn't happen I'm trying to block his bishop if even not to take my knight will be greater. f7 is under attack. What if bishop back to defend this? And d3 just after this trade. The knight will defend, so I can't mate. Okay, you need, that's a calculation. You need to do all your moves before moving. That's protected. Probably knight a4. How I won on time? That was a he was even up upon at the time. Just there is even +2 in every move. How his time was run so fast. Okay, I'm waiting for challenges. Kiki Kamer, are you sending or who is sending? Let's wait some seconds and okay, I have challenge. Kiki Gamer, I believe. Mohit GG is you. Չէ, դենենց չի, հա, լիսովորել մար երկար ժամանակ։ Նայած ինչքան կուզես սովորես, ուղղակի էտա հարցը։ I disconnected in the end. Okay, I understand. You played great, just you could even try to win, why not? Okay, Nali chess. Thank you, but I think you played perfect. Just I didn't find a way to trick you or take something from you. Thank you for coming. Երկարով, հա, ես էլ եմ երկարով սեմ ուղղակի, որ երկարով մեկ հետ խաղամ, հագին մարդ հավաքվելու չեմ ասցին, էլի սաղ հետ խաղամ, բայց ճիշտ այնքան երկար, այնքան լավ. Bishop b5, okay? Because I'm trying to go d5 and take the knight, but a6 can even work here, and even after d5, a6, just if I take the knight, he will take my bishop. That even won't be problem, but if you're not being tricky, that's a little bit tricky somehow. You need to play a6 to kick that or force him to take. And that's trade or not? Let's castle. I would like to trade and c7 will be hang, but because d4 was unprotected, just I had two protectors and he has two attackers. At the time just he couldn't take, but if he takes the knight, d4 would be hang, and if he takes that, just his knight will be in a really good square there. Rook a1 can work, and I can't take. Just I'm trying to pressure this pawn. I believe we will take that. Even bishop f5. Just he can't even take the knight. I will take with a queen and add more pressure. He's playing really good move. If I take this pawn on a4, he will take the rook. I will take with a check and another check. Knight, no, knight can't defend, sorry. Queen e7. Takes, takes. That will be figure against a rook. But still that's a little bit unclear. I would like to. How I would like, what I would like. I'm not sure, let's sacrifice that, because I'm taking 2 pawns from there. Why change your name of your YouTube? Yeah, just I don't know, I like that move. So I like that username. Just that's my final name. I believe I won't change it one more time. I saw that and I thought, oh, that should be my name on YouTube. Blitzով պարապել, որ ճիշտն ասեմ, Blitzով պարապել կարելի ասել չի էլ եղնեմ, ինչքան rapid ու classic այնքան good. Let's take the knight because now his pawn structure is destroyed. If I take this, okay, c7 won't be hang like so much moves later. We can play before and after some moves we will force to play that. Because rook b8 will be played and b2 would be under attack. But if h3 and force him to take, and if not to take, just we will see. If he takes, I finally can bring my queen on g3, but let's be sure he can't somehow bring his knight on h5 and take something from here, okay? That's why h5 will be defended. But after this trade, probably we can even take the knight, but because we will activate his queen on f6, and that will defend so well on that queen side, on that king side. I'm not sure about that for that, but anyway. Or even I can take queen g3 and bishop a5. Bishop a5, just that should be attack on his queen and pawn on g7. Okay, f6 can be moved. Let's see if we can see that or not. First I would like to bring my queen on g3. Or even somehow knight g5 if that was defended. Queen h5 or queen h5, knight g5. Queen g3 also can work, but f6 just that should kick the bishop. He played that very well. And what should we play? Very hard position. His bishop isn't doing anything, I'm happy about it. Bishop h6. Yes, but I think at that time I just haven't really much active pieces to sacrifice material and go forward. That's why I didn't do that. Rook a1 and let's bring this double rooks, okay? I don't believe we can do anything on his king side because, for example, bishop were on h6 and queen on g5. Just he can defend it really good. I'm not speaking about the knight because the knight will have so much moves in positions like that. But that all squares are defended, I can just bring that forward. For 300 rating he's playing so good. Լավ է ախպերս, ինչքան մի ժամ ու կես խաղաս այնքան ավելի լավ. Queen g3 and then bishop h6, okay, but queen g3, my bishop were on f4 and knight couldn't jump on that h5 and fork this. And I will lose bishop from there. I mean that would be trade, but anyway. Bishop h4, the only way, I believe, knight f6 to protect that from the pin. And we will see what we need to play. That should be only move. Take won't work, his queen will be lost. Let's see if he can play that correct move or not. Okay, that should be only mistake that he did. But he played great, you know. Just that 22th game, a move of the game, but that was his only mistake. And I think when he brought his queen on that a8 square, that's another mistake, because that's still under attack and he can't defend the knight. And the only figure that can defend queen f7, king f7, king f8, just he will lose the knight from there. That should be losing. And no other pieces can't jump there. That's why he chooses to lose his queen. Rook d8, probably sacrifice if it needs somehow. Just let's see, his knight isn't doing really protectively job and don't sacrifice. Okay, really bad square for his knight, he's taking a pawn, but he's gonna mate after some moves. That's why you need to bring all your pieces into king side when your king is trouble. Okay, he played very well. Now Lichess, I think you are going to send me challenge. You want it, okay? Կարող է եղնի շատ պուլյան է չի լավը։ Շատ rapid, այ բան չի ասի։ Well, just that last two moves that at the time you lost. But before that you just played great, you know? We have Vienna Gambit. Use this opening, and if you are even not trying to use, that's not easy, you know? Try to see my streams about this Vienna Gambit. And don't be tricked after all this. Okay, I can play. Just wait until I will finish this well. Please remind your username on chess.com so I won't be mistaken about that, okay? To improve, just see all ahead that opponent is trying to do in your position, because I think that's the only way that you can improve your chess, because the other mistakes you didn't. Just you miscalculated that time where I tried to attack on your position, and that means that you miscalculated what's my opponent gonna do. That's a question you need to say to you before moving, and you need to disturb me to do that moves. Like, I tried to bring my rook stable, and if you remember, your knight were in a7 and queen on a8. Just I pinned that and took something from there, you know? And before moving, before my knight, my rook will come a1 and double here, you need to think what's my opponent trying to do. That's the question you need to ask yourself before moving. And can I defend that if he somehow attack or not? try to do that, and that should be much okay. Well, I see bear. After this game, send me challenge. I will accept yours, okay? Queen h4 and knight g5. Also, I would like to bring the rook into the game too. Let's sacrifice the pawn on h3 because knight g5 I will pressure this f7. I tricked him or not? I think yes. Because before knight g5 there weren't any attacker. But knight g5 I have 3 attackers and somehow he can't defend. That's why you need to think what my opponent trying to do. And don't take free pawns. Even when you are playing with a little bit rated player than you. Because they should be very tricky. Okay, I see bear sent me challenge. Okay, Geeky Gamer, thank you for that. Bye bye. See you tomorrow. We will play tomorrow too if you come. No problem. Follow the rules what I said and try to improve your chess. I believe you can. Bishop a7 to trade, then the knight activation, okay? You missed that. Don't need to do that. Համիջնախաղերն էլ լավը, ուղղակի ավելի շատ վերջնախաղ, որտեղ վերջնախաղերը սենց ասած չկրկնվող են, քան այն օփենինգները, որ ամեն անգամ խաղում ենք. Okay, I opened that diagonal for my bishop, and even this rook will do great job on a file. So let's bring it. Nothing is hanged, but what if I hang this pawn on d5? I'm not sure. Okay, let's hang this pawn because d4 will be undefended for him too. I just... Sure, he couldn't even defend this pawn. I would bring so much attack over there. Sack the rook or not? I think not yet. Okay, he sent rematch. Well, no problem. Thank you for that. And what should I play? That's a little bit unclear. I'm getting a little bit nervous. How can I can't bring my bishop into this game? I would like to move the knight and bishop h3, but because the knight on d4 would be undefended, let's defend that first, and even I don't like to bring it back, because try to centralize all your pieces, that will create threats automatically. How I say this c2 is under attack because my pieces are hyperactive there. That doesn't mean I'm up a piece or not, that means you need to bring the most good squares to take something. And because I have 3 attackers and he has only 1, he can't defend if he wants so much, you know? That's the difference. If I take, I will attack on his rook, but from c7, that should fork. Okay, let's take. And a7 will be under attack. I would like to take this pawn and fork this, but this move will ruin everything. My queen will be under attack. But if I take check here, he will take with a check and I wouldn't have enough time to take the queen on a1. Let's think about that. So tricky. Okay, let's try to play simple game just because I'm up a piece. Ինչ լավ է, اینا վերջնախավ ինչքան շատ ենք հան քո օգուտնա շատ opening-ների հետևից չընկնես ու հետա why he did probably that's sign for resigning because he was down a piece and I was forcing to trade the queens. Okay, that's probably why. Okay, I'm sacrificing the knight in my turn. You can take that and be mate in 2. Well, I see better. I'm waiting for your challenge. Are you sending or not? I'm waiting. If there is a problem, say about it. Well, let's start. E3 isn't best move when you, anyone is playing with white pieces, but anyway, that's where it looks like Sicilian defense as white pieces. I didn't see the knight. The knight was hang? You mean that? And c6, also c5 could be work, but it's a little bit aggressive. We can take and play b5. b5, let's kick the bishop from there. Probably after some moves, and first I'm trying to bring my pieces out. b4 and a5, a4 can be moved. In this position I would like to activate that on that queen side. b4 to kick the knight back because that's not doing anything great, a position like that. Just that's hitting really good squares on the center, but I force him to go back. Knowledges you played, I will say, really good, but I think the only problem you are losing, you are not seeing what I'm gonna play. Okay, for example, see my opponent saw I'm trying to go a4 to kick his bishop. That's why he played a4. You need to play like that too. Try to bring your pieces and disturb from his plans. Because why my king over there? I miscalculated that for sure. You need to disturb your opponent because everyone had plans, and if anyone hadn't planned, just he will lose that game. And bad plan is better than no plan. And when I'm creating plan, you need to disturb me because that shouldn't be good for you. If I'm not, for example, down that 300 rating, so I'm gonna planning to take this pawn right now and then some as plans, you know. And for example, in this position I will try to bring the knight or not take the queen. Let's bring the knight forward because the rook is protecting. So if it takes, I will take and the file will be mine. And in the next move probably forward and bring the rook. Very great move. Okay, see, I missed that. And because now I can't take the pawn, he's defending. But you need to be sure positions like that, because after this trade I can't take the bishop, the pawn on d6. Because if somehow I can take, you need to calculate this and not miss something, positions like that. So I am trying to calculate if I takes, his pawn will be protected and my knight will be under attack. What should I do? And I'm thinking that after this trade, my rook will be on d6, which will hit the queen and also defend the knight. f6, and I will take with a pawn. And because with a bishop, that's open check, I can't do that. And I'm trying to take this pawn because this will be hang, okay? I missed that pawn. Okay, I will wait until he will take, and if it's not, just I will take. His knight will do great job there, that's why I will just try that, you know? But if I take, that should be open position for his rook, and then bishop is protecting that square very well. I won't do that. I will wait until he will take. My bishop is protecting very much squares, but this isn't doing anything. I would like to bring that on p7. Probably rook a, bishop take, not sure. Բակար մենջան Դե կգաս կխաղանք ախպեր էքոցա եփ հարմարակ ես ուրախ կեղնեմ քո հետ խաղամ Well, I'm gonna resign this. He played very good at this time. Let's accept his rematch challenge. A4, okay? D4. Great opening as black, trying to bring all his pawns on the center. Ինչ 3 ժամը 3-ին, եթե հա եք ուզելի 3-ին stream-ը. And Bishop b5 I would like even to trade because his knight will attack on my dead squares very well. I can even bring my rook on a1. Why not? Rook a1, probably queen a2. Because probably rook a8, I will take the knight and this bishop won't be under attack, but if not rook a8, that should be in trouble. Let's take, and I would like to bring my knight on a5, but this pawn is hang, and I just can't defend that. And if I take, my queen will be under attack. Հաջող Արմեն ջան, լավ որ քեզ։ And my queen is under attack, so the only way that it can try to make trouble, bishop d6, try to attack on my bishop, and the queen, but queen d2, just everything will be protected. I'm gonna play that, and even I don't like to take this pawn, because I will say I'm undoubling his pawns, not his undoubling. I am undoubling. And his bishop will do great job there, because that's now can go only 2 squares. I'm trying to keep that as very bad square as I can. Probably queen d2 and knight a5, because the difference d4 will be protected, and probably I would even be happy if I keep my queen on that 4th rank. Can I sacrifice a bishop and knight g5? That probably won't work because sacrifice, knight back, knight g5 won't work because that's diagonal will be protected, and because that should be protected, and the another bishop also protecting, I wouldn't have enough moves. My plan will be so slow. He will try to bring all his pieces into the game at that time. So I didn't do that. Okay, if he takes, no threat, just can I take the bishop, or that's not a threat? I think this bishop will be a little bit threat when be on f5, also that will hit so much squares on my position. Okay, I forced him to go back. See, just from c8 he lost 2 moves, and because my knight were f3, just I moved that forward, and that's why you need to know about tempo. This time I believe even I can sacrifice, because when I'm up a tempo my rook can hit there. Hello Burako Yunda. I thought I call your name right. Do you wanna play? I would like to take because from d4 will be pin, but I believe just I can't take if he takes the knight. My queen will be under attack. What if I sacrifice the rook if he takes the knight? From check from h6, king g8 to also protect f7 pawn. Let's think about that. Here. Let's sacrifice the rook, I'm not sure, but let's do that. I think I can even try to use this f7 and fork him, okay, after some moves later. Just if his king was were in h8, for example, or h6. I will take h7, f7 at the time and fork. But we need to be sure our queen won't be attacked, because that should be just right, and because I sacrificed the knight on c3 and the rook on g7, that's just can't work. Let's check. King here, just if check, my knight will be lost. If here, check, here, check, that should be mate in 3, but don't resign, because your opponent can see that, even can't see that. He has really good opinion about me, that's why he resigned. He thought that I'm gonna see that. He is playing great if he just see his yellow and mine. Knight f6 also could be moved, but a5 just I'm not sure, because d7 was closed. I didn't like to do that, because he will force me to go this g4 h5 or back g4. He will kick from h3 and h5, some open attacks. That's why I needed to go back at the time, or other way, that should be moved. Well, if he takes, that should be inaccurate or even mistake move when he played as white pieces, because my queen just will be really good at this diagonal, like see. But because I didn't take at this time with my queen, knight c3, just he's forcing me to go back, and if not even back, h5 or f5, and somehow he will try to kick on another time. Knight c6, my pawn structure won't be bad, but if I be lucky and he take the knight, my pawn structure would be great than this time. But because I'm not sure, knight d7, okay, because I protected with 2 pieces the knight on d5, his bishop went back, that means he isn't protecting. So all these pieces are centralized, I would say. I'm going castle after this. a6, but just I don't need to kick that bishop because that's not doing anything on that side of the board. I would like even to keep his bishop here because, for example, bishop d3, tag there, I won't like that position. If I take, that was isolated pawn, that's a really good move, d4. If I take, his knight will be on d4 and that will be a tag on my bishop. But if he takes, I would be happy if I bring my knight forward, because that will open any other attack on d5 and knight c5, that should protect it. Okay, I'm not forcing to take, just because he's waiting for me to take and attack on a6 with his rook and his bishop, with his knight on my bishop. Let's don't do that mistake, and because I'm saying you need to calculate his opponent's side, because I saw a move that knight g5, and because I'm protecting with two pieces that square, he can't just jump and try to take the bishop, because bishop is protecting this knight. Okay, that was trade. I don't like to trade that, because even if he takes, okay, no problem, I would defend it with a pawn. And at the time he could take with the rook, but let's do that our moves in my mind. Just queen b6, if even that pawn was defended, that should be isolated and should be really easy target when we are speaking about this open file for him. That's why we can take this and then d4. But I don't like how much his bishops are active. That should be really tricky. Okay, b7 will be hang. And I would like to bring my rook on b8 and probably try to take this bishop, but see how much pieces activation is a great. Okay, no problem. The difference will be that at the time I would have passed pawn and he hasn't, even if he takes this pawn on b7. And my queen is supporting this pawn. After I will move my knight. I will try to bring this on f6 and bishop d6. Try to trade these bishops. Knight f6, bishop h6, he's trying to do that. Because he thought that mate is a little bit forbidden, the pawn on b7. Bishop h6 here. I believe he can protect his queen on that g-file and try to mate, but even bishop h6 can work. Bishop h6, that should be really great defend on here. Okay, I thought that from bishop c7 he would try to take my queen, you know, if for example the rook will be defend on here or not. No, I mean if that were bishop from c7, because now I can take. My queen will be trapped in that really crazy position. You need to see even that. I would like to see my knight there, but because g7 would be unprotected. No problem, let's go g6 and bring bishop back, because this bishop is cut from that h7. Okay, he can take. Let's take this rook and a8 to not trade the rooks on a file. I'm still up a pawn. Knight a5, okay. Rook c7 can be a really good move. How is even 1200? If he takes with a bishop, I will take with my bishop, and even h2 will be protected. And I will force his rook to stay there and protect this first rank. I like to do that. So if he takes, bishop take, queen a4 or not, we will see. It's not even trying to take. I would try even to take this bishop, which is he protecting really good. c6, thank you, that defended. Okay, he removed that defender and that should be pin. So let's don't get that pin and take with a rook. Let's check. If he takes, he will plunder this game, but if he not takes, he will lose his rook. Let's see. He probably saw that position. I'm going to introduce how I'm going to take his queen. See? If he takes the rook, king h2 and bishop a5, I will pin that. He saw that, but anyway he lost. Really great player. No problem, let's play another 3+2 game. If anyone wants to play, send me challenge. He played really great, also won me one game. That was really crazy game, also that last game. He played perfect, I will say his bishops were so good. Bishop a7. Okay, I thought he would check. That's why I'm defending one move before check, okay? And bishop d6 to also defend from this pin. I don't need to bring my queen other way. If I take, his queen will be active. If I not take, he will take attack on my bishop and force me to take. And if I take, this diagonal should be open. There should be any trouble. Rook on a8, okay? c5, I believe won't work. What is he doing? I could take and double his pawns, but I don't like when he takes my rook and just that should be knight go back for me, okay? I don't like that move. Let's take the rook, and if he takes with a queen, I think he forced to do that. His king side is destroyed. I'm going to, where can I go? Queen d7? Or not? Okay, I would like to bring my knight on f4 to hit this pawn. Am I forced to take? I think yes. Just queen a8 shouldn't be anything. Thank you to Icebear. I would like to play with you. That's really cool game. When you be free tomorrow, I would like to see you one more time. You played great. I don't understand even. I was up upon our last game, but your bishop did really great job. You almost gonna win that game too. If I take, I'm up a pawn, but his king is a little bit active, so that's the only way I'm not trying to take the knight. Let's be sure we won't get so much checks. I think we will get from a8 and my pawn would be hanged at that time. So probably he can try to take that pawns. That's why I'm up a pawn and his king side pawns is in a really good position over there. That's too isolated. And I don't like even to trade that. I'm trying to take that. Because that's two pawns isn't worthy even when we are speaking about my one pawn. But I think even with two pawns I can move this forward with a checks, okay? Let's go a5 to block this pawn way. I believe he can't move this forward and take something. You go live stream. this time only. Yes, this time I will say after 22 hours and 3 minutes. That's 3 p.m. in our clock. I'm not sure what's the time in your clock. But anyway, you will understand that, okay? This time I started, I will start that tomorrow too. We have this passed pawn and I'm gonna say his position is 100% losing. Because he can't play any move, just I will take this pawn. And probably he can even try to go forward, you know? We will make the queens in a same position. But I will try to trade just with a check, okay? I need to don't help him to check in my position. Because if he keep checking, that should be even draw. This c6 even hang. If my pawn were just one move ahead, I will mate him. I'm trying to trick him and take this d4 pawn, but with a check. Is there anyone that knows 50 moves rule or not? Okay, I can't take it with a check, but anyway, let's take. Just we played 3-minute game. And he has 3 minutes and 50 seconds. He isn't even thinking about his moves 2 seconds. That's why his position is so bad. That should be at least draw. Just I like to move this forward. I would like to check and fork. Just that won't be fork. I'm trying to trade the queens and win this position. And let's try to get out from these checks. Or is that gonna be draw? My queen is a really bad placed over there. We keep checking from that F file. Not sure, okay, I blundered that. What should I do in another time? He was so high rated at there, you know? Well, a4, d4. d4 can happen even now, and I can go c3. If he takes c3 pawn, he will be up a pawn, but that shouldn't be great position, you know? That's gambit when... Okay, h5, what is this? Bad move, I will say. And because he was down a tempo, like I sacrificed a pawn for being really huge attack. And even according to computer, I did that position once, and I'm remembering that computer giving me +2, +1 point. And because h5, that's crazy move. And because if my opponent Wolf on that something about tempo, he needs to activate other pieces, not just h5 or I don't know. You need to worry about your tempo. Okay, we can trade because my bishop isn't doing anything great now. This e6 is protected, and from here just what should I do? Rook d8. Queen d3, I believe I can try to take this d6 pawn somehow, probably a5, and we will see. Knight b5 can be moved, just d6 will be hang and a7. a7 was hang, but because rook c8 I didn't have enough time to take that. d6 is hang. I would like to trade because he has a little bit white squares disadvantage, I will say. And and can I try to track him? My pawns will be really bad place, just double pawns, okay? But if he takes this a7, he can't protect. Let's go a5 to not blunder that pawn. And after this trade, my knight will be in a really great square, so I'm forcing him to take. Let's calculate once, is it worth to double my pawns? Because if I take this a7 pawn, rook a8 will be only move to defend, if not just knight c6, I will take that anyway, and if it's not, just go forward and try to protect, somehow b6 will be hang. So if I take a7, 7th rank will be mine, and I like to attack on this f7. He's doing a great job, because if I take a7, f7 will be a little bit hard for defend. Also I will force him to castle. I think that should be only move that will defend. I think he's trying to attack on my position from h-file. Also bring his rook somehow. Now he can't, but anyway. a7 will be lost. I sacrifice the pawn for that. What if I take with a rook or with a knight? Okay, let's take with a rook and b6 will be hang. That's why I sacrificed one pawn to get these 2 pawns. Bishop c5 I will trade, and I believe he can't defend it. Just even bishop c5, I don't think even I need to try to take this pawn, because b5 pawn will be in a so good position. I would try even to make a queen there. Knight c8, because if he takes the bishop I will check and I will be up a figure, just or not. Okay, king a7. I will double his pawns at the time and take another one. But because that this pawn is hang. Let's take, he will take b2, but I don't care about b2. Because this pawn I'm gonna use to make a new queen. Bishop takes. Where I need to go? If this pawn back? Not sure. Okay, even he isn't care about that. Pawn. Let's defend, and also b6 is defended, so I can push that, and also I'm attacking on his bishop, and he hasn't enough time to bring the rook. That's the idea. b6. Bishop f6, I don't like that move, because when I'm trying to do something on queenside, he needs to bring his pieces over there and defend all his pieces. Parev Akberes Vonses. I will check and bring one move forward. Let's do that. Because he has dark square bishop, that won't be easy to defend this pawn, and I'm gonna defend with a knight, and you can see that hanging. This pawn is hang, but if he takes knight a5, I will fork and I will take the rook. Let's check, just I'm not sure, check king b6, here he can't take, I will take, and check king b6, here bishop d6, take, my pawn will be lost.